Hey folks, this is the LEGO NEXO Knights Tech Wizard Showdown set. I do not have the Year 1 and Year 2 large mechs to compare this to anymore for size, but I can give you a comparison just off of what's included here because this set has a surprise. You see, this is not simply a mech here. This is in fact a mech within a mech. It's mechception. This is a full-on battle suit in the standard style that we got in the previous season. It's just kind of recolored here, bringing in a lot of gold, just the pearl gold color, which I think actually looks good here. I typically don't like to see this much pearl gold in something, but I think it contrasts well against the existing colors, the main colors for clay, especially with the dark blue. And then he doesn't have anything to wield with the battle suit there, but they've got you covered with this accessory pack on the back, which holds Murloc 2.0, or at least his digital hologram projection here, but it also has some accessories with the shield and a sword that can be wielded by the battle suit. So there's how that gets outfitted, with a nice sized sword and a somewhat undersized shield. I guess you would just imagine that that shield would be able to kind of change its size depending upon the incoming attack. And then you can still use this little platform back here and attach it to the smaller mech, attach it to the battle suit, and then Murloc becomes your banner for the battle suit, and you also end up with the kind of jetpack or rocket pack on the back. Or if that looks like a little bit too much with Murloc, you can just pull him off as his own separate projection, have him come up somewhere else and just use this like this. And it has plenty of the gold on it as well. A little bit of a awkward flat platform there, but it's nice to be able to interchange pieces. And of course, this is using the same system, the same modifier system, so you can take any of the components from last year's sets and attach them to this, or you can attach this to other things. It all works together. It's all modular. Alright, so here's everything pretty much put back together with the main build and combined as closely as it can be. This also has accommodations for the minifig accessories, with the shield for clay being attached over on this side with the major shield, and also the 6-stud shooter blaster that's built into that arm. And then Clay's personal sword gets just attached very simply on the side here. This sword, the larger one, can also be rotated around. The small one just acts as additional decoration, really, just makes it look better. This has pretty decent articulation overall. I think I would like to have seen a little bit more to be able to especially reach across the chest with the sword. It would have helped a lot. You can kind of, let's see, I think there was a way like this, and that's about it. It's a little bit disappointing in that sense. So you can do some horizontal slashes and swings with it, but you just can't come too far across. The joints have a good amount of friction in them for sure. You've got the ratcheted joints for the upper extremities, lower legs. Well, it's just one single leg assembly here, but you do have a small ball joint that can be used with limited range in the ankle, and they can also be kind of turned side to side a little bit. So if you splay the legs out, in addition to rotating them, you can get a little bit of action pose in there. You may need to repose the inner battle suit's feet to kind of get them out of the way. I think this is about the best way to kind of tuck them in to get them out of the way. But if you want to bring this main leg forward a little bit farther than that, then you need to move this out of the way, which looks a little bit funky there to have the bottom of the foot there. But this thing has pretty respectable stability. Not as much of a range of motion as I would like to see overall, but the most important thing is that it be able to stand up on its own and not always be ready to fall over. So that's kind of the start of a walking pose. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. I can bring this leg back a little bit. Again, this is that same type of attachment point, so you can take any of the components from the Year 2 sets and still attach them here. On the bad guy side, this set gets just the small projection crawler platform for digital monstructs, and it has a couple of shooters on the sides which feature these new tech critter pieces that people have been looking forward to from what I've seen. It just uses a stud on one side to allow it to hook up to a stud shooter. Of course, stud shooters can be turned side to side and such, but ultimately you're just going to fire that off. And that one is now across the room, but here's a spare. There are 3 of these in total to go with the 2 shooters. It doesn't really quite look like a spider. I think that this doesn't look quite as good as folks were expecting it to, just based on what I've seen from the hype online. It uses a single stud. Of course, you can change out the color of that stud. You can build upon it, and it has an anti-stud on the underside. But this is a brand new mold. Maybe they'll start making these in some other colors as well, but I think it doesn't make for a good substitute for an organic spider because it's not supposed to be. This also uses the new piece with a little bit of lensing built into it with the trans bright green there. Just has a bar end, just adds a little detail wherever they want a little extra shaping, and that's just mirrored from side to side. You can move the legs around a little bit. Obviously there is a ratcheted hinge attachment on the base of this that will be usable with other sets as well, and of course it comes with a shield that can be used with any bad guy minifigures, or good guys, I guess, if you want. The bad guys you do get in this set are the Infectobiter on the left and a Cyberbiter on the right, with the letter Y, not the letter I. Got the new helmet mold on the left. I think I'm looking at some new colors for some of these parts. Pretty nice prints for the front of the Infectobiter. I also like that helmet, which has the attachment points for anything bar shaped or sized on either side, but it does not cover up the back of the head well at all, so you can start to very easily and immediately see the secondary face showing through. That's a bit of a disappointment. It actually becomes worse when you're looking at it set up like this if you were to turn the head around, because then you see a more obvious bit of teeth showing up there. So I think a little more coverage would have definitely helped here. This is in gunmetal gray. Pretty good looking prints though, or prints for the faces for each of these. And you do have alternates for both, so that's a good thing as well. On the protagonist side, we just get Clay, and I wanted to show him with his accessories on at first, so you can see just how much of that pearl gold is brought into his color scheme. Again, I think it actually works out pretty well this season, and it's not overdone. There's a lot of it, but I think it fits in. I think that the dark color, with Clay in particular, works out. We'll see how well it looks up close with some of the other characters with their color schemes, but let me reveal a little bit more of the prints of the new outfit here. Again, brings in some of the gold, but that's not the pearl gold, of course. That's the metallic gold, which has just a little less orange in it, or a little less red, and a little less saturation. I think it's just a better looking gold, but a different look here with kind of the robes that are set up. A little bit more of a Tron kind of feel this time around, which is, again, a good thing, but I don't know how I feel about the pattern compared to the year one stuff in particular. Year two is a bit different. I think this is a little bit closer to year one in its style and amount of color. Yeah, it might take me a little while to get used to it. I'm not completely sold on that design. Last up, this scannable Nexo power is called Whirlwind. It's not new. This is the classic Jungle Dragon. And then here attached to the recolored Combo Nexo Power plate is one of the new Murloc powers. This one is the Sword of Murloc, and that is not against a pearl gold colored piece. It is a painted piece that has the metallic gold color that I like much better, and the design of these are really nice across the board with their colors and their overall design. I think they make for very nice decorative elements by themselves, even if you don't use the app. So that's the Tech Wizard Showdown. I really like the main build. I like the mechception. That could have been done poorly, but it's actually done very nicely. I appreciate the continuance of the interchangeable system for attaching things to the backs of mechs that, just helps older sets to remain relevant and usable, so not everything needs to be completely redone. And I think the figures are pretty good. They could have done better with how they treated the back of the head, I think, for this new helmet, or just stuck to single faces for those. The little platform for Monstrux will have its own significance, but it's nothing really to write home about. And the little shootable tech critters, I think, are underwhelming as well. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to get to work on the next, so I'll be talking to you again very soon.